Hello, my name is Charlie Little, and I was honored in 2008 to be selected as the first principal of Vandegrift High School. We're named after Lieutenant Matthew Ryan Vandegrift, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about an important tradition called Valor Day. I think as a high school principal and somebody in the community, I think it's important that you know what your school is named after and why. In Valor Day, we celebrate the person our school is named after, and why was it so important that we picked this person to name our school after. We don't want people to wonder why is the school named Vandegrift, because there's not another school named Vandegrift in the whole country. Our school was named after him just a year after he died. That's almost unheard of. Not really have the time to vet that person and have this person be the perfect person to name a school after, the perfect family to support the school in our efforts. That's, to me, Valor Day brings all that together. Then you add the extra irony that it's on Aggie Muster, and he was a staunch Aggie, Corps of Cadets. You add all those other elements in, and Valor Day just becomes a really important and special time for us to share who he was and why it's important to emulate him as much as possible and celebrate his life.
I'm Drew Sanders, head football coach, athletic coordinator at Vandegrift High School, the best high school in the state of Texas. The type of impact that Vandegrift has had on me is immeasurable. Vandegrift's become a part of me, actually. Vandegrift's such a special place, I believe, just because of who we represent and what this whole school is about.
Being a part of a school that's not just represented geographically, but that is named after a person has been really impactful on our startup of the school. One of the reasons we celebrate Valor Day is to honor Matthew Ryan Vandegrift and the sacrifice he made, but the character that we want our students to live into. Being here from the beginning has allowed us to utilize that character as the cultural hub, as kind of the driving mechanism for not just the what of what we do, but it's a special thing being named after a person to give us a sense of why.
Starting Vandegrift was pretty special times, and when they decided to name the school after Matthew Vandegrift, it felt like there was an automatic connection, gave an automatic foundation to think of traditions and how to tie in his legacy to our school.
I think our name is everything. In football, for example, we only put Vandegrift on our jerseys. We never put Vipers, even though the Vipers is, it's an amazing mascot and very unique. But the name truly is everything we represent, all in one.
What's so impactful about attending a high school that's named after Matthew Vandegrift is that we have an actual person to look at compared to other schools where they might not have an individual figure to look towards. We can see the bravery and courage that he took while fighting war, and then also his family as well. We can look at them for examples how we need to live our own lives while as students at the school.
Matthew Vandegrift was an amazing person by all accounts. This school is hopefully a reflection of that. I just think that it sets our school apart just a little bit differently, being named after someone that gave his life for his country.
A couple of the traditions we have in the band program to continue to honor Matthew and his family and his legacy. First would be the development and establishment of our school song. When we opened, we wanted to make sure that we came up with a school song that had meaning, that the students could understand it walking the halls of the school, and we actually chose the famous song from the Broadway musical Carousel called You'll Never Walk Alone. We adapted the song for our use here at Vandegrift High School, and has become a special tradition that we perform at all of our events, all of our football games, obviously. Within this school song, we utilize a single soloist, and the idea of utilizing that soloist is to embody the character and legacy of Matthew Vandegrift. Another tradition that we have here at Vandegrift High School is every year that a student's in the program, once they make it through summer band, which is kind of our boot camp, so to speak, every student receives a dog tag that's got their name on it, that's got the year on it, that's got the show that we might be working on. And it's a sign of pride and seniority for our students. Our seniors will carry 4, and our juniors 3, and our sophomores 2, and so on. It's the only piece of jewelry, so to speak, that students are allowed to wear with their uniform in competition or performance. And it's become a special tradition that established the very first year of the school back in 2009. With this video being about Valor Day, I know you've heard from other people, an important part of what we do is the Second to None Award. The Second to None Award is special in the band program, as it is around all of the other programs, because it is directly voted on by our students and for our students. And the whole idea of the award is to honor students that embody the same character and sacrifice and leadership that Matthew was about when he carried himself at Leander High School or Texas A&M or eventually in the Marine Corps. And I would encourage any student that continues to be recognized as a Second to None Award recipient by your peers to not take that lightly. Make sure you carry that with pride as you move on past Vandegrift and you continue to live a legacy of character and leadership.
We are named Legacy's Dance Team to hopefully be great ambassadors of Matthew's legacy. Some of the traditions that we started with Matthew's legacy to incorporate that into our program, into our team. Every year with our new team, we sit down and we discuss goals and our culture for the year. We talk about Matthew, we talk about his background, where he came from, characteristics that he's embodied. That again is really a big driving force behind our program and how we want to represent not just ourselves, but our school, our community, and Matthew Vandegrift and his family. Another tradition that we have in spring show, we have a special dance every year, and we entitle it Second to None. And it's a select group of girls who dance. It's a small group, but it's really to honor Matthew's memory and his legacy and ultimately his sacrifice to our country. Lastly, we have the Second to None Award. It's voted on by peers, and I think there's a lot to be said for that because they know each other better than we as program directors know the students. They see them in every aspect inside and outside of school. So to have that honor as a student where your peers have voted for you to say that you embody like the #1 person in our program that embodies the characteristics of Matthew Vandegrift, it's very special and it's the highest honor that our program gives.
Well, we don't ever want to forget where we came from. We don't ever forget why we're named Vandegrift, and I think that's why it's so important we do this Valor Day ceremony. And so we do a ton of things in the athletic realm to honor Matthew Vandegrift. One simple thing is the sword. You know, we're going to touch Matthew Vandegrift's officer sword on the way out to every varsity football game. Only the varsity players are allowed to touch it. It's something to look forward to. We've retired Matthew Vandegrift's number 7. He wore that as a backup quarterback for the Leander Lions. Nobody wears 7 for our football team, ever. It's too big of an honor to be able to wear that. We will carry out a flag to every varsity football game. We'll run out of the Viper. With that, the flag bearer is voted on by his teammates. And it's the person that most represents Matthew Vandegrift throughout that week in practice. The person that just worked hard. He didn't worry about whether he got any recognition. It's somebody that just knows their role and relishes in it and understands he can have influence over his teammates just by doing his job and doing it well. And then probably the biggest thing that we do is our Second to None. Well, the Second to None Award is cool, #1, because it's voted on by your peers, which means these are the kids that kids look up to. And so for me, that's amazing. It's kind of like being voted on as captain or something like that, but even bigger, because sometimes captain can be, at least on a sports team, by your athletic ability. That kind of sets you apart. The second to none award winner is the person that's set apart by their character, by like who they are and who they influence. And then, you know, what makes it so special is actually how this whole award started. You know, several years ago, I had a friend of Matthew Vandegrift that I did not know, and he calls and says, "I'd like to look around the school." And so I did that. We made time and his name's James McMahon, and so James had served with Matthew. And we gave him the whole tour. He even got to talk to some football players and I think some soccer players and a few other sports, because we wanted to meet him, you know, because he had served with Matthew. And on the way back, I distinctly remember this, we're walking by the library and he stopped and he had this on his wrist, and he took it off his wrist and he says, I'm going to give you this. And I actually, at the time, did not know what it was. And he goes, "This is a KIA bracelet, and I've worn it every day since Matthew Vandegrift sacrificed his life. And it honors his memory. And it's been in battle, it's been overseas, it's been everywhere you could think. It's never come off my body. And I want to give this to you, because, not just because of me, but because of what the school represented to him. He felt like that our school truly embodied the spirit of Matthew Vandegrift, his friend. And so for me, I was blown away. I truly was blown away when that happened. And it actually sits on my desk every day, and it's a reminder to stay focused, keep working, and remember who I represent and who we all represent. And since that, Ms. Bodorf and Mr. Little kind of came up with the idea that we should kind of make a replica of this and give to every second to none recipient. And I see a lot of them wearing it. Sometimes they'll just keep it in their room or put it somewhere where they can look at. But that's what the second to none bracelet means.
Well, we've already been open for over 10 years, and I feel like if they continue the traditions we've started, they continue Valor Day, they continue the second to none, they continue these things, then, but just think about in 10 more years, how many second to none kids will have been honored, how many second to none kids will be out in the world. But it comes down to who's here, and are they upholding it? Do the coaches and the directors believe in those same qualities like we do now?
I would say my hope that students and faculty take with them is that our high school, Vandegrift High School, it's not just a place. It's more than classes, it's more than your extracurriculars. You should always feel a sense of pride that you represent a family who has stood strong for our country, for our community. They lived in our community. Let that walk with you in the hallways here. Let that help shape your decisions. Let that help motivate you on maybe on the days that it's a little harder to be motivated.
I believe that carrying on the legacy is absolutely critical for the incoming classes. And one of these days, all the people that began this school, myself included, won't be here at this school. What I think is important is that we don't let that feeling of pride about our school, the feeling of that this place is something special, the sacrifice that Matthew Vandegrift made for his country, all of that, all into one, it can't be forgotten. So that's why we must remember. If our incoming classes that are listening to this will actually truly reflect on that, they'll start to have a sense of almost awe of not only what Matthew Vandegrift did, but also what all the other people that have come before them that have set this tradition at Vandegrift to make it the elite school it is, from top to bottom, really everything about it.
Okay. So what I would say to the students is, first of all, thank you for taking the time to learn more about our namesake, Matthew Vandegrift. And I hope you're curious to learn more about it. Talk to your teachers and your coaches and the people who've been around for a little while. Ask more questions. Ask when the family's going to be here. Do you want to meet some of the family? Do you want to get a chance to go a little deeper into it? And if nothing else, having that takeaway from today going, it's important, and this name of the school is important, and I'm proud to be here because of that. And I think that if this video helps that move forward, which was one of our goals, was so that if I'm not here or somebody else isn't here to push these ideas forward, and which will eventually happen, that somebody will go back and rekindle that spirit and make sure that the reasons that he made that sacrifice and the reasons we're honoring him haven't changed. And I hope we don't have a world where we don't honor what he died for, and we don't honor and value that. And hopefully this video will give people that tool. Maybe there'll be, even if there's one kid who feels strongly about it, they can ignite a fire and get that spirit right back by sharing the stories with their friends and their community.